What is up, guys? Okay, we are back. For those of you that haven't been to my channel, welcome. For those of you that are regulars here, welcome back. We are going to do another beer review today, and this one is super special because I have something that is limited edition. It's rare, so chances of you guys finding another review on this on YouTube are going to be slim to none. But the beer that we have today that we are reviewing is by a brewing company that is close to my heart because it's from my hometown, Amarillo, Texas. The brewing company in question is Pondaseta Brewing Company, stationed right here in Amarillo. Started up by two guys who, were best friends through college and did some other stuff. And while they were in college, they joked around about starting a brewing company. And then after they were done with college, one of them said, "Hey, you remember when we were gonna brew beer?" And the guy was like, "Yeah." He's like, "Let's do it." So they made a Pondaseta Brewing Company. So I have with me a limited production beer that I special ordered. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna visit this one and see what you guys, or see what I think, and then you guys of course can comment. This one is kind of an oddball, I'm gonna be honest with you, because a lot of it doesn't seem like it would work well together, but it actually does. So enough with the back and forth. The beer we have in question is Pondaseta Brewing Company's Covfefe Ale. So this is a coffee blonde ale. It's 5% ABV with 17 IBUs. So the IBU count on this one is very low. So the chances of us getting some bitter IPA tastes are going to be slim. I read up on it a little bit on Pondaseta's website. They give a brief description. Essentially, it's supposed to be a brunch beer. So we'll see what we think of it. The glassware we're going to be using today is the Sam Smith glass with the little agitator in the bottom. It does have a etched bottom, so it is going to create a lot more carbonation than most glassware, so that I can get the best aromas out of it as possible. So here we go. Now, I know you're probably saying, well, what the heck? This beer has no labeling whatsoever, short of the two little labels on the front. Pondaseta is a very small brewing company, okay? But this is a limited production small brewing company beer. So I wouldn't have expected them to go full bore and put an awesome label with a description and all that good stuff on this beer. It came in a 4-pack. It was pretty expensive. It was like 15 bucks, I think, for the 4-pack. So this is a 16-ounce can. So I'm kind of glad that they gave us 16 ounces instead of 12, but we're gonna go ahead and get into this real quick. Wow, you can smell the coffee already. Holy moly. And look at that, she all fits. Beautiful. Now, as far as color and appearance goes, it's a very blonde hay straw color, completely hazy. Now we do have a lot of bubbles coming up. I don't know how well you guys can pick that up. I do have the autofocus turned off. Sorry about the fingerprints all over the glass, but there's a lot of bubbles coming up from the etched bottom, but it's not see-through at all. It's very hazy, very unfiltered. Looks very beautiful. So let's go ahead and get a nose on it. Now, before I get too far into this, I do want to say I'm not going to be cutting any corners or making any excuses or being biased just because this brewing company is from my hometown. I will treat this just like a standard beer review. No, it is not a Torture Trials review. So this is going to get 2 ratings. 1 for beers in general and 2 for beers in the style. We rate A to F with plus and minuses. So that's how we do things on this channel, and that's what we're going to proceed with today. But I just wanted to make that clear. I'm not going to, hold any biases because they are from Amarillo, I'm from Amarillo. If it sucks, I'm gonna let you guys know. So on the nose is very, very, very strong, rich coffee, but it doesn't linger that way. You do get breadiness from the malts. They are very sweet and thick. It has a very, very thick nose presence. I don't really get any hops. I don't really get any sort of off smell from the carbonation in the beer. So let's go ahead and get a flavor on it, see what she tastes like. And while we're analyzing this, one of the things that I love the most about Pondaseta is they really focus on trying to get every ingredient possible from Texas and locally. So like the coffee that was used in this beer was had at a coffee shop called the 806 Coffee Shop here in Amarillo. Their barley and their malts are Texas grown. Hops, where they can get them from Texas, they get them in their premium or premier standard cowboy ale. That's like a Budweiser-esque beer. The corn was got here in the Texas Panhandle. So they not only are a local brewing company, but they support local growers and local farmers, and that's absolutely epic, and I love it. So first off, you get the coffee, and it's not a bitter, sharp, espresso-like coffee. It's a very rich, almost like a Colombian style coffee flavor to it. So it's very, very flavorful on the coffee aspect. But then after you get about mid flavor, it starts to taper off and you get the malts. And towards the back end, the hops come in very subtly to kind of taper the flavor off and give you that finishing effect. You also get a little bit of the flavor from the carbonation, that little bitterness that's in a lot of beers, especially lighter ales. The carbonation comes through with a lot of presence. This one's not too bad. As far as mouthfeel goes, it's not super heavy. Excuse me. This is a beer review. I am drinking beer, so I'm probably gonna burp. Just a heads up. But as far as mouthfeel, it is a little watery. It's not super thick. It's not very heavy. At 5%, the alcohol presence is non-existent. But it does have a crispness that makes you want to take another drink. The aftertaste, you get the coffee and the hops together. The barley malt isn't really a big player in the aftertaste. It's more coffee and hops, and that lends itself well because most good espressos and really dark coffees will have a bitter after flavor. So this kind of reminisces that and gives you that warm, toasty, thick coffee aftertaste that is just amazing. So let's go ahead and do a rating on this one. Sorry, I've got to take another one. This is, try not to blow it here and give it away before I give it a rating. So for beers in general, that means it's gonna rank up against all of these up here, okay? It does wrap all the way around. If you watch my other videos, you can see I've actually done a tour of what I have up here. Beers in general, I'm gonna give this one an A, okay? It is a great craft beer. You can tell that the brewmaster took his time when he was coming up with the recipe for this beer and selected things that were gonna play very well with each other. The flavors don't combat themselves. They flow and taper really well, which is something I really look forward to in a beer. Complexity is great on this one because the flavors don't fight each other. You know, they play well. You get into some other beers that are overly complex and it's like the flavors are battling for superiority if you will, throughout the range of the palate. And some people can find it offensive. For beers in the style, I'm gonna rank this as just a standard ale, just based on ABV. I do think it's a specialty brew, which of course it is, but I would put it right up there with, let's see, I'm trying to look up here in the beer shelf and see if I can remember anything off the top of my head that just feels like it needs to be set with this one. I would put it up there probably with the Nooner by Sierra Nevada, or I put it up there with some of the St. Arnold's, Little Something Something by Lagunitas. Beers like that is what I would put this with. So beers of the style, I'm gonna give it an A-. And the only reason I'm giving it a minus is because it's a brunch beer. It's very hard to pit it against other beers that are like it because this one's very different. I haven't had a lot of coffee beers that aren't stouts or porters. Usually when you think of coffee, you think of a coffee stout or a coffee porter, something that's a whole lot heavier with a whole lot more alcohol, that has that rich bitterness, dark fruits, things like that. This one doesn't really have any of that going on. It's its own kind of monster, and I really like that they've kind of stepped away from the status quo and from the norm and from the beaten path, if you will, on this one. So A- for beers in the style, just because I really haven't ever had anything like it. And for beers in general, I'm gonna give it a solid A. This thing is epic, man. For a limited production run, you know, one and done kind of beer, they hit the nail on the head. This is you know, bases loaded out of the park. It's epic. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like if this were to become like a rotational beer, I would be extremely happy. This is one, like Sunday, you know, don't have anything to do, you're having an early lunch, this would be perfect for that, because it has all of those elements of, you know, just chilling and doing nothing. This is not a beer I would drink after doing a bunch of yard work or, you know, building a fence. It's not something that I would drink out in the heat when I really want a beer. It's not something that I would drink grilling. This is something that I would want to sit down with a meal, have one, enjoy it, and really just, you know, dedicate. I would session the hell out of this beer because it is that good. But if they put it on rotation, they have my vote. I will definitely, if they bring it back, I will definitely pay another $15 for a 4-pack to have it. Unfortunately, it's very hard for you guys at this point to get Pondaseta beer, which kind of sucks because Pondaseta deserves a lot of recognition. These guys are absolutely awesome guys. They make great beer, and the fact that it's my hometown that has this little powerhouse brewing company in it just makes it that much cooler. You know, I can kind of, you know, strut my stuff, if you will, because it's something that I can drive down the street and pick up. It's not something that I have to order online and wait, you know, 3 to 5 business days for it to get to me, or call a buddy, hey, can you pick up a 6-pack of this and ship it to me? I can go get it whenever I want. So I guess I'm kind of spoiled. So yeah, I mean, if you get a chance, if you're in Amarillo, if you're driving down I-40 through Amarillo and you need to make a stop, I mean, Amarillo has a lot of stuff to do. We have a lot of things to see. But Pondaseta Brewing Company, if you're a beer guy, they have their own like little tap room where you can drink beer and taste test and things like that. It's definitely something that you should drive out of your way to check out, because these guys will blow your socks off. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna finish this one up. we're gonna call it done, because I mean, I could go on and on, but then this video would be 45 minutes and nobody wants to watch a 45-minute video. We're a little over 15 minutes now, and if you're still hanging on with me, I appreciate it. If not, I hope you at least got to the ratings. And for those of you who are not regular watchers of my videos, I don't necessarily save beer cans. I save beer bottles, especially if I like them, but I like to have a collection of things that I've drank that I can look back at and say, oh, I remember this one, or that one was really good. I generally don't keep beers that I don't like. I guess that's kind of one-sided, but I don't usually keep beer cans. I have one in the collection, and that was because I had an absolute horrendous time with that beer, and I'll never drink it again. It's a reminder of, hey, when you go to the convenience store, don't pick that one up. But I think I'm going to keep this one. Not for display purposes necessarily. I mean, I will probably display it, but it's more of a unicorn, if you will, because there are very few people that will ever have this one, and I'm one of those people. So I want to have it as a, you know, a keepsake and a reminder that I was lucky enough to be able to get the beer. I was also lucky enough to be able to do a review on the beer, and if this video gets enough likes and views and Pondaseta gets a hold of it, I was in the right place at the right time with money, you know. But hats off to you guys over at Pondaseta. You guys are A1 in my book. But I guess that's all for this video. We will see you in the next one. The next one is going to be another Torture Trials review. I actually have the beer picked out, and it's probably going to piss some people off. So stay tuned, and we will see you guys in the next one.